Let's have a sesh on ways that you can evaluate. But before we get to evaluation, we need to talk about analysis. So analysis is about your pros being your advantages, your cons being your disadvantages, and the impacts of doing something, introducing something, or removing something. That could be, for example, moving towards flow production and moving away from job production. This is basically theory. Analysis is theory. While evaluation is how likely this theory will happen. And there's 4 good ways that you could evaluate. The first is that you could examine the theory's assumptions. And you could use those magic words, well, it depends on. So you've explained the theory, but you says, it depends on. For example, if the theory is that you've suggested that they could take out a loan because they don't want to sacrifice giving some ownership away in their business if they went the equity route, well then you go, they could use the loan, but it depends on the interest rates. Because if the interest rates are high, then this will mean the loan costs more. The second way you could look at it is to examine the theory timeline. And that's by comparing the short term and the long term. So in the short term, something might happen, but in the long term, something else may possibly happen. Take, for example, flow production. Flow production, in the short term, is going to have the likelihood of higher initial costs because you're going to need to buy the machinery and train your workers to use the machinery. That's in the short term. But in the long term, because you now have this machinery, and it's likely the workers and the machines together create higher productivity for the business, you might have more output. So you might have more revenues in the long term. So you're balancing the short term with the long term. The third type of evaluation is to examine the theory's trade-offs. This could be that doing X may cause Y. For example, a business may decide to become more sustainable, but there is a sustainability trade-off. If you become more sustainable, it might lead to higher costs. And the higher costs may mean the business needs to increase prices, for example, in the future. And the fourth thing is that once you've examined the theory's assumptions, timelines, and trade-offs, you might want to use the case study, the context, your application. So if you support with context or the case study, you can help you choose the most important reason. And evaluating the most important reason, or how likely the theory will happen with the most important reason, is exactly what evaluation is. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you at the next sesh.